This is a first tour of CueCam Presenter. My name's Michael Forrest and I built all this. So when you first launch CueCam, once you've ticked off all of its permissions and extensions, you're going to see the live camera window, which looks like this. So we've got a toolbar up at the top. We have got a camera preview, and then we've got a dashboard over here. The camera preview area is this. So this just sort of shows you what's going out to your Zoom call or wherever where you've selected the virtual camera. So you don't actually need to have this window open to use CueCam, but it's a nice way to get started. You can actually interact with this a little bit. If you're sharing something, you can zoom in with pinch on your trackpad. You can drag pictures in, drag videos directly in. I'll show you that in a little bit. The toolbar up here shows you connected apps. So CueCam isn't just a Mac app, it's an iPad app called Video Pencil and an iOS app called Shoot. And you can see here it's scanning for devices running Shoot Pro webcam, and it's also currently connected to Video Pencil, and that means I can draw on stuff. There's also a record button up here, which you can see, I'm currently recording this demo for you. So dashboard lets you quickly manage your audio and video. So what CueCam's going to do, it's going to mix in some different audio signals, put all the video stuff together. You're going to select it as a virtual mic and camera, and this is how you control all of that. First row here is your output. So this is where you see your headphone monitoring. So I've got like a tiny little in-ear headphone just so that I can tell what's going on. And if I'm talking to someone, I'll listen to them through that, but it's not too obtrusive. And I do really recommend that you use headphones with this. I think noise, echo cancellation, all that stuff isn't very good. And we want to do a slightly higher quality thing here. And you can't put noise reduction on anyway if you're sharing videos and audio, stuff like that. The output, that just shows you what's going out on your virtual mic that's going to come into other apps. Then the second row here is your microphone. So I've got this microphone selected. I can see the levels. That green is a very reliable indicator that I'm at the right volume. We can see we've got full LUFS metering in here. We can select different things. We can set the delay. And then we have the all-important main dashboard buttons. So these are sort of the visual stuff. So the first thing you're going to see is your main camera button. So that lets you select which camera you want to use as your main camera, and that camera can be turned on and off. As simply as that. And it can also work with your iPhone if you're running Shoot. If I were just to fire up my phone, and I can now see that Shoot is connected, and I can select it here as a camera right here, and there we are. And I will put that back onto the camera that I want. The second button here is the share button, and whenever you want to share something, that's where you're going to go. So if you just click that button once, it's just going to go straight to sharing your desktop, and then you can click on this drop down menu here to share just about anything else you can think of. So if you wanted to share your phone as a second camera and sort of point at something else that's going on and still stay picture in picture, you could do that. So you could have like a nice overhead camera. If you wanted to share a different screen, you could do that here. If you wanted to share a connected device, if you wanted to share a window or a specific app or a video or an image, you can paste an image in, just right from this button. You can right click on it as well to get a few more options. You can also, when you're sharing, you can zoom in. Third button down here is the slide button. So I'm currently showing this slide which says text and slides. If I click on there, that's going to just sort of toggle that on and off when I'm in a presentation. When I'm not in a presentation, you're just going to have a box where you can put some text in, which can be really useful to be able to do in a call. The fourth button is a side 3D, and if you're sharing something, you can very quickly move it out the way with this button. So if we share our screen, we can just click that. That's going to move it out the way. Click it again. It's going to move it back. Click it again. And you can also, before you share your screen, you can give that a little click, share it. Someone can see that you're doing something, but you don't necessarily have to sort of take over the call, but it's a nice way to let someone know that you're kind of having a look at the thing they just sent you. And then you can bring that up if you want to annotate it or something. Finally, we've got camera settings down here. So it's a little bit smaller, but there's a lot you can control about your cameras. So if we click in here, I'm using a green screen. So there's lots of settings to do with that. If you turn that on, I've got this background in. I can change my chroma key settings and stuff. I can put a camera LUT if I'm using a logarithmic camera profile, which I am. So all that stuff. And then if you've got Shoot, and we can see it up here, you're going to get all of these manual controls in that dashboard for your main camera as well. So you can zoom in, you can set the white balance, all the kind of stuff that you cannot do with continuity camera. You can also access the dashboard from the status menu. So if we are in So if I kind of come out demo mode and just share my screen, now I'm sharing my screen, I can be sort of showing something, I can just go up to this menu here and I can go aside 3D from there as well. So isn't that handy? Next we have this video pencil button, which I sort of pointed to before, but that just shows if you've got an iPad running video pencil nearby, you can actually set that. And I can be drawing in white, I can click here, I can be drawing in blue, I can click here, I can be drawing in yellow, but you can also set those up with keyboard shortcuts and all sorts, and you can do quite a lot of stuff with video pencil. I'll show you video pencil now by sharing my iPad, and it looks a little bit different because it's various demo mode limitations, for it's quite hard to show things. But yeah, on your iPad you're going to see usually whatever's going out on your webcam, and you can use this app wirelessly or you can plug it in at your desk. And what we have is a row of drawing tools here. So you can sort of draw in different colors, and what you can do is for each of these sort of set the colors that you prefer, set the sizes. You see the little tools change thickness as you press the little buttons, and so you can customize that to however you like it. There's also the ability, so if you've drawn something, let's go for a better color, so if you've drawn something you can actually sort of select it and move it around and sort of like delete it, and you can sort of like rub out bits of it, or you can set this thing to rub out the whole lot. We've also got this laser pointer, so you can just sort of like quickly draw on something, but it's not going to stick around as a drawing. And then if you really want to do something special, you've got this lovely magical sparkle effect that you can use. If we come back here, we've also got this live titles thing, so if you draw a circle and you want to say that is an egg, it's as simple as that to add the text in. You just draw the underline speak, that appears. And if you want to highlight something, you can just do that, and then you can start drawing again. I don't know why I've highlighted that. Maybe I would. And this is really great for screen shares because you can just sort of focus in on an area, point people at the exact bit. That's how you turn your mic on, Dad. All that kind of thing. And then the other thing you can do is you can actually control CueCam here. So I can actually see, here's my script on this thing here, and I can actually use aside 3D from here to move my iPad out the way and actually press next, and I'm at the next slide in my presentation. But we haven't even talked about presentations yet, because you can do so much without even putting a presentation together. But imagine taking all of that but not having to remember which thing to press. Imagine just being able to create a script where all of that stuff just happens for you as you run through it. So let's start by having a look at a presentation. If we just go to the file menu here, there is an example script. So in sample scripts, I've taken a fairly famous presentation and just turned it into turned the start of it into a little demo. So this is what CueCam looks like. So over here we have our cue cards, and you see they've got sort of the text that we're going to say, and then they've got these attachments on them as well, and they've got these highlighted tagged text that becomes titles. So why don't I just sort of show you what that feels like to actually run through a presentation. We're just going to hit this big pink, this is the all-important big pink start button. So if I hit start, I can sort of start in on the presentation. Hi, I'm Steve Jobs. This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years. Maybe I'll make myself a bit bigger. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything, and Apple has been able to introduce a few of these into the world. In 1984, we introduced the Macintosh. It didn't just change Apple, it changed the whole computer industry. Why don't I go full screen? In 2001, we introduced the first iPod, and it didn't just change the way we all listen to music, it changed the entire music industry. Well, today we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. First, a widescreen iPod with touch controls. Second, a mobile phone, revolutionary mobile phone. Third, a breakthrough internet communications device. So that's a widescreen iPod, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. iPod, phone, internet communicator, are you getting it? These aren't 3 separate devices, this is one device, and we're calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone, and here it is. Well, no, actually, here it is, but we'll leave that up for now. But before we get into it, let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say, and they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, but it's a sort of baby internet into one device. And they all have these funny little plastic keyboards, and the problem is they're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. And if you sort of make a business school 101 graph of the smart axis and the easy to use axis, regular phones are sort of down here, and that's like your cell phone is going to be down here, and then the smartphones are going to be over here. So you've got your sort of Motorola, your maybe BlackBerry, you've got your phones over here, but they're not so easy to use, they're not so great. But we don't want to do either of those things. We actually want to be up here, and we are going to have the iPhone. So I think you kind of get the idea of what you might present with that. And just to show you, I was able to use Video Pencil. I was able to sort of like show a video to show the animation, do a few things. If I come back into demo mode, we can see what's going on there. So that's how you give your talk, really. You're just going to be on here and you're going to press that big button. And that's going to take you through it, and you're going to get all the pictures, you're going to be able to do all that stuff. You can access this big pink button from all over the place. It's on the iPad, it's on my Stream Deck. There's all sorts of ways you can set a foot pedal, or you can just do the keyboard shortcut, which I quite like as well. And then it's also in the teleprompter window. So this is CueCam's teleprompter window, and so actually, like, when you're doing a presentation, it's going to feel more like this. So if I kind of come back to the presentation, I'm going to be seeing this. I'm going to be able to sort of go back, I can sort of go back through this presentation. I can really just see what I need to say is here, and like all I have to do is think about this button and I can just speak and kind of pretty much read. I can see my it says draw on the bottom, the middle. Okay, I can remember what I've got to draw. All that stuff is just there, and I don't really have to remember how to switch all these different things. So this teleprompter window, you put it in your teleprompter, or you can just like full screen it on your laptop and use the laptop camera, or if that's what floats your boat. But really, I'll just talk about gear for a little bit to show you how I use it and how I think this really comes alive. So CueCam's great if you're in a studio or a home office like me, but it's also great when you're traveling. This is sort of what I'm looking at more or less now. So the most important, and I'll sort of give you in order of importance what we're looking at. So first up is obviously Mac. Like, this is not going to run on Windows, and I would kind of say Apple Silicon is going to be much better, mainly because you're not going to have to deal with fan noise, which is a killer if you're using a microphone without any voice isolation on it. So the second thing we have here is a microphone. And actually the best way to look good is to sound good. So that's why a microphone is really important. The third thing we're going to see is I've got a big fill light up here, which I'll show you from another angle in a minute, but that's to get this even lighting on my face, and actually behind me there's a green screen. And then down here I've got my iPad, and that's how I can draw on things and like do a little bit of control stuff, and it even has the teleprompter on it. Then I've got this teleprompter device, and this, I just think, like, an Elgato prompter, it's not too much, but I really think it's going to transform the way you have meetings. It's going to transform the way you speak to camera, because you're going to be able to look through what you're saying and just make eye contact with someone. So I really think CueCam comes alive with a teleprompter. You can use it without, but like, it's really going to be brilliant with a teleprompter. And then down here I've got a Stream Deck, so this is how I'm able to just quickly navigate through. You can get much bigger Stream Decks, but with CueCam you don't really need a big one. I see a lot of sort of pro streamer people with sort of 3 massive Stream Decks, but like with CueCam you really don't need that, and that's a really cool feature as well. That's going to save you some buying some Stream Decks. And then finally I've got a cheeky little overhead camera. So this is an old iPhone which has Shoot on it, and it just means I can go and select that and do an overhead camera without any interference. It's just all on this Ikea standing desk in the spare room with a load of clamps on it, and I have this green screen. And yes, I'm using a pretty good camera here. It's Canon R6, but that's because I want this to be as good as it can be, but you really don't need to go crazy with the camera. So that's there, and then that just sort of slots onto this prompter, and it all works nicely, and that light again is behind me. But you don't need everything. Instead of a teleprompter and a camera, you could just use your iPhone, and I've actually done quite a lot to make that work. So if you use Shoot on your iPhone, this will actually show your teleprompter and what's going out on your camera as well, so it actually becomes another screen. And instead of a Stream Deck, you can just use the controls on the iPad, but it really depends on what you want to do. And if you're traveling, this is my travel rig. So I just have my phone on a selfie stick, my laptop, I've got like a little tiny wireless lav mic, and my iPad sort of sits there as well. And that lets me do pretty much everything I can do, like nearly as good. I still do my live streams, I still do all my calls using that system. So back in demo mode, let me show you how to make a new script. So we've got a button here, create new script, and that's just going to pop you up this blank window. So each of these are cue cards, here's your preview area, but we can click add card to add another card, or we can sort of add a layout. So if I wanted to put a picture and some bullet points, and those are, you can have bullet points that reveal one at a time. You can play with this stuff, you can replace the picture. You can add media, so if you had a sort of set of images you wanted to make a slideshow out of, if you didn't want to go too deep into the CueCam sort of to camera stuff straight away, you can just multi-select some images and create cards that way. Or you can actually generate, like history of Apple, give me a card, give me an image prompt. That's going to go over to ChatGPT, generate a card for you instantly. Now we've got this. Let's see what kind of nightmarish image it will generate for us. Founded in 1976. Always check these facts that come out of ChatGPT before you say them in public, because this could be made up, but it's just sometimes really handy to be able to just generate a card with AI. I don't know, that might take a little bit longer. There we go. Some definitely an accurate picture of the early Apple team. But you see, you could do quite a lot that way. But once you know what you want to say, you can add a bit of flair. So you can say, hi, and so maybe I want to put my name on the screen. Instead of writing, hi, I'm Michael, I can go add title, Michael. So now I can say, hi, I'm Michael, and that text is going to appear on screen. And then if you don't like where that is, we can go like card, layout, put that in the lower third, or you can actually open this sidebar and sort of fiddle about with the layout there. And anything you do add to a card is going to come through here. Like we have a few different options, so we can add a new card. Let's say we want to add a quote, something really interesting, and then someone, and you can have that, and you can try that nice and big, cover the whole screen. You could add in, a big background image. If you had something to hand, what could we use? We could use this from earlier. Let's have a look. So we can have a big background image, stuff like this. We can turn picture in picture on and off. It sort of goes way beyond just like a bit of text and images. If we click on this and start scrolling, you can add a video. You can add a video in the background looping. You can generate images. You can share a second camera like I showed you before. You can actually just go to the overhead camera on this card and show something. You can share a different screen, a window. You've got all these different choices of things. You saw all these in the share button. You can share a connected Apple device on cue. You can load some music to play and sort of fade out the music, stop the music. You can open a website, and then you can control other apps. So you can add a keystroke trigger. If you really want to get advanced, you can use trigger an OBS scene or an eCam scene. You can add OSC triggers and stuff like that if you've really got a complex show that you want to run. And CueCam has some stuff as well. You can sort of jump to another dock, start and finish recording, all that kind of thing inside CueCam. Here we have a toggle here. So you're in editor, you're in sort of, this is what's kind of the virtual camera view, but we've also got this editor view, and this works a little bit differently to the virtual camera view because you can sort of like interact with it a bit more. So if I were to select a kind of like a video, I can be looking at that, but I can actually go trim, and then that's going to let me sort of trim that in that big image, which would be sort of hard to show on there. It works slightly differently, and as I say, like each attachment has a pop-up. So when you sort of click on something, you can, if you've got this chart here, let's get rid of that. You could sort of like, if it was a different aspect ratio, well, like this one, let's say if this wasn't quite the right size, you can sort of make sure that it fills the background. You can sort of switch between, if you wanted to reuse a background between different slides, you could just sort of select a different one there that's in the project. And then all of the files in your project you can find them all in the document sidebar, and these will all just be saved with your document. So if you want to send someone else the document, you can do that. We've got some sort of like more experimental stuff over here, but as you can see, like the dashboard is accessible here. You've got your card editor and you've got your sort of document controls there as well. So to summarize what CueCam gives you in that card editor, you basically have cue cards. So these are for what you're going to say, and to those cue cards you can add slides, so you can throw something onto the screen to sort of illustrate a point. And then you can add triggers, which you can do sort of all sorts of things, including controlling other apps and things. So you've got cue cards, slides, triggers, and just everything you need to run a really seamless presentation or live stream or record a course or any of the other things you might want to do with CueCam. And when you're running through your presentation, you can see what you need to say in the teleprompter, and all you have to remember to do, like me, is just press that big pink button. So to start building confidence as a presenter, it does take practice. Using CueCam's recording feature to run through scripts, you can see how to make them better. If you commit to a regular schedule of some sort, like you make a video or do a live stream or do a call, just something you just keep doing regularly, and that's going to help you get better and better and better. I do a weekly live stream, which keeps me on my toes. I used to do a weekly podcast for years before that, and that's kind of how I found my voice. So like, this isn't a silver bullet. You're going to have to practice, but what it's going to do is make it really easy to focus on you, what you want to say, what you're communicating, and not have to worry about all that technical stuff. Like, all you got to think about is that pink button. You don't have to think of it. You don't have to sort of press buttons on the screen, Stream Deck. You don't have to like sort of remember a load of stuff. You can kind of set it up and then just run through it. And that's the same for a live stream. You don't have to. You can plan things out, and then like you can just be present and expressive and just be yourself. Find your voice. Be confident. And this is just wouldn't have been possible without a TV crew in the past, but now we can do it on our own and just like practice in secret, so that's quite nice as well. But I would say if you are going to sort of practice, it's good to sort of be putting stuff out in public so that you sort of feel a bit more sort of conscious of it. For CueCam, we do have a really nice community of people who are excited about the app on Discord. You can join us there, and if you do have any issues with the app or suggestions of what you'd like it to do, we have channels to report those, and I'm tracking those. But you know, I know it's not like bug free, so please be gentle with me, but like I'm trying to sort of make it more and more stable all the time, but it does do quite a lot of stuff. So you know, I am just really excited to see what you do with this app. So if you're interested, literally download it for free. Use all of those live dashboard features. You don't have to pay anything for that. And it's really, you can build the presentations, and it's really only when it comes to pressing the pink button that you're going to get a watermark. And always, you're welcome to email me, get in touch, join the Discord, subscribe to this channel. I'd love to talk to you because I'm really excited about this. I'd really love to get more people using it. Thank you.